amazing matchup we have, we also have some matchups in North America. So keep an eye out if you want some of that tasty action over in the North America region. Gillyweed and Dread will be following Superstars and B-Step, Team 8 and Naventic. Now here at Europe, we've already finished up. We saw BGNS and Trix Esport happen, but again, we are preparing ourselves here for the exciting match that we get to watch. I'm hoping it goes to Game 5. Not because, well, it is because I'm selfish. I am actually incredibly selfish, and I love to watch amazing gameplay happen between our two teams. The Fnatic versus Expert was a really cool clash of styles that happened between our two teams.
So let's take a kind of a walk down memory lane and history lane. Back when My Insanity, well, there you go. Back when Misfits used to be My Insanity, they were actually one of the teams in the European scene that kind of pushed innovation. They were one of the teams that brought out a little bit more wackier picks to then actually push those to the forefront of the meta. Things like Lunara Stitches. The Lunara was more the predominant piece of that puzzle that they brought to the table, and they would win with it. They would constantly just come and win and win and win with things that were a little bit ahead of the curve in Europe compared to anybody else. Now they're playing more kind of standard compositions, and it feels to me like Team Expert is the team that is kind of pushing the innovation.
Oh, that's a good point. They're the new MYI. Interesting. Well, let's figure out here what Expert and not MYI, Misfits, think about today's matchup.
Team Expert. This is, for me, the most improved team over the last, let's say, 4 months or 3 months. They improved so much in terms of team play, coordination, synergy, which is a huge part for a team to work. And ADRD has arguably the best drafts in Europe. I think their weakness is being limited to specific comps and having a lot of niche picks.
They've not had the best reputation to perform online. They've been much better offline, so it might be harder for them. But they have very strong players like Dark Mock, obviously. Personally, I think Splendor is really good compared to a lot of the other supports. He always does his job. Yeah, the rest of the players are good as well.
ADRD, the Master Brain team. ADRD has gathered some minions, I would say, around him. Like ADRD, he always manages to find good teams or to form good teams. He gathers players around him and he makes it work somehow. Like even in my opinion, if players are not the best mechanically or knowledge-wise, I don't know, like in general not the best players, like maybe average to decent players, ADRD manages to form them like he wants them, and like the macro game is top-notch. So we will see how the best of 5 format will work out for them. I don't think we will get cheesed by them in the best of 5.
To beat Misfits, I think we would have to play a very solid game with good game plan. We have to prepare on the specific maps, the specific strategies. I think this is the way to beat the stronger teams in EU. We just need a lot of preparation to do that.
Shaping up to be a fantastic matchup between the two. In fact, Bad Binny just tweeted out live that he's excited for this matchup. He's shared his thoughts. If you have a chance, make sure to follow him because he is always being generous with his thoughts on Twitter. Soon playing our last match against the Big Three. Let's make this one a win, HGC. And they've been closer and closer. I believe against Dig, it was 3-1. Against Fnatic, it was 3-2 that they lost. And now here, Misfits, could this be the one to break?
Now it's going to be 3-3.
Yes!
That would be weird.
We're going to a best of 7 because this match is going to be so epic. But yes, a best of 5 between our teams. Let's find out which our battleground will be here between Misfits and Expert. So, bans for the day. Towers of Doom is now gone. Wow, Expert bans Towers of Doom. And then Brax holdout been out here by the Misfits. And it makes sense. We've seen Expert run Braxis a lot, and they love to be creative there. Dragonshire, the first battleground.
I like the Expert banned out Towers of Doom as well. I think it is one of Misfits' better maps.
It is.
I think that when, so I did a lot of kind of looking into the compositions and honing down on what Expert have done. It doesn't feel like Towers of Doom is one of their maps. No. Like, we saw them kind of pigeonholed against Fnatic when they didn't quite have the ranged capabilities that they needed to break themselves out of a stalemate situation towards the bottom. So a lot of their drafts focus around big melee players, things like Ragnaros, things like Zul, Nazebo to a lesser extent when we saw it come out, but yeah, definitely take that away from Misfits.
Yeah, and with it being Towers of Doom, we've seen that strategy where you set up on a bell tower, and these melee assassin comms that Expert seems to really favor just don't work on that battleground, so it makes sense to ban it out.
Now, one important thing we heard in that interview, the Team Expert here looks to prepare for these teams in a heavy fashion. They know that they have to bring out something special coming up against Misfits, the big dog of the big three. So it is difficult to go up against them, but maybe we'll see some magic flair out of them.
So one of the keys of the games you saw down the bottom left is we've been seeing Zul and Nazebo picked often for Team Expert on this battleground, so keep an eye out for that. But Misfits also has to be aware of it because they could set themselves up to deal with the pressure that comes from that matchup. Also, Misfits will take Malfurion, and I think you should do so. Splendor on Malfurion has hit the most Twilight Dreams I've ever seen in my life on multiple members. That guy is insane with his positioning and his capabilities of hitting that R button.
So, what do they want to go here early on? I think that Ragnaros might be a really good pickup for them for Blade on a map like this. It's still very strong. Molten Core gains great benefit because it can poke on a big area since it's quite a small battleground. Something like Falstad. Oh, but they, in fact, so they, the Medivh coming in this early, they know how much of their strength revolves around that. We said it in the previous series against Fnatic. First games, they had it, they looked better. Last games, they didn't have it, they stumbled against Fnatic.
And you have to pick it up here, too, because you only have the 2 slots and then you go to the ban phase. So Expert prioritizing the Medivh correctly, I think it's the right call. It's the ace in the hole here, where we look at BGS and we see them on Li Ming. When it comes to Expert, granted, they're not similar in, I guess, depth, but Medivh definitely elevates this team to a different level every time they get the engages they want, and Medivh does empower that. Misfits on the other side here, looking to pick up their next couple of heroes. We've seen a lot of Ragnaros from them. In fact, I expect it. Gosh, what they have their Ragnaros play at? I think it's 9 games total out of the 15 and 3 they played, so a total of 18. 50% of their games, they have picked Ragnaros in the first few slots. They love that hero. However, they pick up Zul and Variant to counter draft to take Expert and get them off of their normal picks, which is interesting to me because Blade has only played 5 different heroes throughout the HGC in Week 4.
Yes.
Ragnaros and Zul are his top tool. We've seen him play Illidan once.
Yeah. In the last 2 weeks, Ragnaros and Zul have been very heavily prioritized by him in those picks. You're completely right. So that is interesting by Misfits. They realize that Team Expert is extremely strong in this phase of the game, in the draft. So you need to bring the fight a little bit to them and then rely on your mechanical synergy and, you know, being together, having been together for so long later on in the game. So that is a combat against Team Expert. Very cool.
And that's such a call out to Misfits too. They are so versatile in their matchups. Fnatic are the only ones that have played more heroes overall compared to Misfits. And Misfits continue to go down this trend of not being able to, or not being easy to read and draft. I love it here. Expert now thinking about what their ban is going to be here. You just start thinking about Li Ming, Vala, possible combinations that you need to take away. They'll have the chance to take away Vala here, or Li Ming on their side if they would like. Misfits, do you ban out Ragnaros? No, they go for the ETC.
I don't know if the Tychus ban was the best way, because the thing is that you've still got to think about where Hasuobs is going to end up being, and Li Ming could definitely be something that he wants to navigate to because he played a great series of Li Ming games in Misfits' previous series that they played. So unless... that being said, though, Medivh does counteract a little bit of that with reabsorption towards 16 and his shields, so maybe they're not too fearful of something like that.
Expert to the left here, looking at their 2nd and 4th pick. Gonna need some wave clear at some point.
Surely one has to be Ragnaros here. Surely.
I think so. I think you have to go that route. You need to get Blade on a hero that he's comfortable on.
Yes.
And Ragnaros is that choice, especially in this high caliber matchup between our 2 teams.
I wouldn't mind Ragnaros and Diablo. Something like that. So Bad Benny has a good choice. I mean, Bad Benny can play a lot of different warriors. We've seen him really flex between about 5 or 6 warriors. I say 5 or 6 because he's only played Muradin once at the moment. But Anuba, Rak, and Rhaegar. Okay. This isn't as expert as I was expecting Expert to be.
Well, it does take away the thought you were having there of Li Ming being a pickup instantly here. Also, the Hungering Arrow build from Vala becomes less valuable.
Yeah.
So the idea is, all right, well, we have a new rec here, so you shouldn't go down a mage route, which put Misfits in a spot here where they go more auto attack heavy on their assassins. Also could really use a strong top laner. Zul will be there, but I wouldn't mind seeing them pull out the Thrall. Dahaka, with it being banned out, would have been my first choice, but no Dahaka being available. Makes me think that we might see Thrall here from Misfits.
So I guess Falstad is going to be played, unless the 5th pick by Expert is something a bit weird and off. I guess Nick is going to be on that, and they're still looking for something for Blade, unless the Anubrak is a second warrior to complement. But that would be a bit too much, like a Medivh and a Rhaegar and then double warrior. So maybe it's just a solo. So Ragnaros and Nazeebo. Oh my god,
Wow,
they take Zul Nazeebo.
They just took away the entire pick that we saw last week from Expert multiple times here. So Nazeebo, Zul now in the fix here from Misfits, and they get Ragnaros as well.
You know, this is such a nod. As I write, no! Oh god!
Oh my
We're back to 2Bs determined. All right, so this there's so much to talk about. So Misfits have given a nod of the hat to what we've seen from the Expert by taking Zul Nazeebo and seeing the strength of it from their previous games and saying, yeah, that looks really good. We're going to try that as well. But the Butcher. This is Team Expert was previously known as 2Bs Determined, and this was a 2Bs Determined special that actually had a lot of weight behind it. Some people are probably out there saying, the Butcher, this is going to fall flat on its face, but Team Expert, I promise you, have made this work in the past.
Yeah, the Medivh makes it. The Anubrak also. I actually like the Anubrak as a solo tank, looking at it with the Butcher dive. The Butcher gets the engage no matter what here, and the late game is phenomenal when you have Butcher. And you're going to get the late game no matter what here. When you have Zul and Nazeebo, you automatically have this feel of, okay, we're going to late game. Butcher, when he finishes off his meat stacks, becomes a threat that thrives, especially if he gets 2 engages. He has his normal charge there, his onslaught, and then he has Medivh with the portal. Butcher will not have a problem getting on the opposing team.
Yeah.
What the problem is whether or not they're going to get their kills. With Falstad being here for the Mighty Gust in the Lambda Slaughter, you have isolation pickoff, especially in the late game, that can secure kills.
And this kind of gives rise to... So they were planning this, or it's very clear looking at this draft that they were planning this from the very beginning of this draft.
Yeah.
And as long as the opponent draft went their way, that they were going to bring it out. And I say that because normally what we see from Blade is that Ragnaros or the Zul. Those have been his 2 main go-tos in the past 2 weeks. But with Zul being taken early, Ragnaros being taken later down the line, they could have easily picked up one of those 2 if they wanted, but they didn't.
They ignored him, yeah.
Blade here on the Butcher has been planned. It has been determined here by Team Expert, and this is going to be a very, very cool game.
Yeah, it will be a cool game. Now it comes down to who holds the top lane. I see a world where you put a Nubrak and Falstad, either of those 2 up there, and you let Butcher be in that 4-man rotation, because the waves are naturally coming towards you when you're dealing with Zul, which means meat sacks are coming toward you, which means your Butcher is getting stronger. We're ready to go here. Game number 1, Dragonshire. Misfits versus Expert kicking off.
Don't you just love Europe?
Oh, I love it. Oh.
All right, to the left-hand side, in the blue, it is Team Expert, with Curson going to be on Rhaegar. Next up, Bad Benny on Anubarak. Following that up, it's ADRD, of course, on the Medivh. Blade will be on the Butcher. A lot lies on his shoulders. And finally, Nick is on the Falstad.
To the far right, Misfits here in the red, and they are looking for a 6-0. Splendor playing them out. Furion. Blumby will show off his variant gameplay, and we'll be having Darkmok on the Ragnaros. So Fear Smash King. Hasselwabs on Nazeebo, and last but not least, Nura with Zul.
Right, now, so the Butcher, a lot of people's criticisms led towards... Oh, hold the phone. They might end up fighting here, so... I've got a lot to say about the Butcher. So they're just going to kind of hold this stalemate for now. In theory, no one should die. Both of these teams are good enough to not let anyone die unless things get really, really crazy. One criticism people had of the Butcher for a long time was that his wave clear wasn't very good. And that's why we're seeing Chop Meat at level 1. It gives him actually pretty good wave clear. He can use his hamstring to actually kill off minions very, very quickly. And that's one of the weaknesses he had for a long time, for pro players at least. But it was alleviated when we had that little bit of a Butcher rework.
All right, so I want to see that hamstring burn down the minion waves. Butcher's currently in the top lane, hanging out with Ragnaros. The 4-man rotation has begun for it. Misfits, Blumby, and Nurok will lead the charge on the constant clear. How this is held will be interesting from Expert, as their wave clear is relatively slow with the hammering from Falstad, but Rhaegar, again, helping supplement that bottom lane, should be good to go, as Rhaegar is probably one of the best supports at keeping people alive, but also at wave clear.
All right, so ADRD actually getting denied there by the wave that came into a bush chasing him. And he will get Bone Prison down. Don't think they can really follow up on that though. Look, Misfits giving him respect. Just know that they probably won't get that kill off the back of it. After all, Medivh is quite sustainable himself if he does have his abilities available.
One thing to note too is Expert here having Falstad in the middle lane has the option to fly the top lane, and the Butcher can get an instant engage by dropping Eon Ragnaros. So we could see that happen, especially with this rotation becoming very telegraphed from Misfits. They intend to sit from the middle and the bottom lane, just constantly pushing in their opponents. So Falstad now has a counter pressure they can put on the top lane if Ragnaros intends to fight Butcher as a Butcher controls that shrine.
So we're seeing the rise for the variant builds of Overpower at level 1. Because that level 1 and the level 7 that couples up with it synergize so nicely later down the line with Mortal Strike. So you can have that available to you, especially against Rehgar. Because of his Ancestral Heal being as potent as it is, you just kind of clip him off the back and then Mortal Strike and less than 40% healing. Nicely done.
And that'll be good too against the Butcher as well.
Yes,
stop those heals out
very
coming
true.
from his cleave on the W. Here we go, Bad Benny going for an engage. Does miss the pop-up on Nurok. Nurok being focused down. Here comes Curson. Hospital will be the main target. He is focused, but the root will save them. The turnaround, though, from Nurok as he turns around, bringing out the damage. Blumby here with the kill, and he will strike in a heroic manner, securing the takedown on the Butcher.
Now, of course, the more time Butcher is alive, the better it is for Team Expert. And I don't just mean in the case of, like, yes, he can continue fighting. Butcher it wants to be killing off as many minions as possible so he can get as much meat as possible so that he can stack up and get to his ultimate form, as it were, right?
Yep. He builds up. It's certainly a late game hero for sure. Bad Benny is being poked down. Hostiles will take the Dragon Knight for Misfits as they will push in here at 3 minutes with a mildly healthy Dragon. The rest of the team do head to the bottom lane to start their own pressure as well, and the wave clear for Expert is starting to show the weakness right now as the turrets are getting low on health. They don't even have ammo to even help defend this push.
Oh, Ragnaros goes down up towards the top. That's a good pickup by Nick and Blade. The one thing I'm concerned about with Butcher going up against a composition like Misfits is that your initial, mention of the fact that, Varian's Mortal Strike down the line can cause some problems, but also Zul is actually very good against Butcher. Butcher relies on big hits, but fast hits. And if you're able to slow that down with Zul's Scythe, as well as, never mind the fact that Zombie Wall is very annoying for him as well on the side of Nazebo, he can be up the creek without a paddle, is a good way to say it.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird trade-offs between these two teams right now. You have the control that Misfits definitely has there with their Variant and their Zul later on at level 20, but you also have core kill potential with the Butcher too, with the Medivh Force of Will, the reabsorption to keep him alive. He can dive a core if there's ever a situation where we get in the late game, and Expert has killed 3 people, they can go for a win. So there's a lot of weird trade-offs that occur for this team. Early game, Misfits is a great spot. Mid game, Expert has great engage. So we get to just witness and enjoy how these two teams clash against each other.
So, going to try and put some damage on towards Blumby and Nurok, but that's not to be the case. He'll get out with the portal. Now, level 7 meat shield for the Butcher means that the Butcher isn't your usual Hero League Butcher who's just going to charge in and die. He is a Butcher that will have 50% spell armor after he actually charges in. So that's going to reduce a lot of the damage he's going to incur when he goes in deep where he wants to thrive.
Yeah, the pickup becomes a must too against Nazebo because there's easy spiders, easy toads to hit. Also with Ragnaros, Saphira Smash, he can follow up with a really easy Saphira Smash. Pick off on Nazebo once again here as he'll be falling down a victim here to Team Expert. 2 pickoffs, one on Ragnaros and one on Nazebo for the team. Misfits, though, slightly still ahead at 9-9 in experience. Just barely though, but Experts making the comeback here with turrets in the bottom and the middle.
All right, so looking for some damage here or there. One thing that's important for a Butcher composition is you can't fall behind, and again, you have to keep the Butcher alive. That one death that he had before was a blip, but him not being too hindered up towards that top lane is a good thing for him, considering that he can kind of gain momentum towards later stages. I love our tweets. It's true.
I like the little the eyes just wide open there. Woo! 10-10 here for the teams. I ask you, Fair Kularis.
Yes?
Do we go to Bloodlust for Rhaegar just for the benefit that the Butcher can get, and also because we know that Variant can counter the Ancestor Healing?
Whoa, we have Poison Nova. Holy moly. It might be a good idea. I wouldn't mind it. It's not an auto attack Falstad, so there's less of a realization. So it is going to be Ancestral Heal, but I kind of like your train of thought.
Yeah.
I do.
Hoping that you can maybe go through, but no, it's Lamb to Slaughter here with Mighty Gust. So remember, there is isolation here. This is as effective as an Entomb here.
This is old school Navi from Prague, like end of 2015. Lamb to the Slaughter, gust everything away, kill it. This is exciting.
That it is, and the thing is too, is like even if the cleanse is there from Malfurion, he could be the one to be picked off. The Ice Block at 13 could be his defense, but things to consider here is that Misfits could be engaged on at any point, and Splendor has to have pixel-perfect positioning.
Ooh.
Big silence here on Rhaegar, but he's able to walk away with a small amount of help here. And you also know that Poison Nova. Poison Nova is great against dive, not so good against anti-dive. The thing is, Medivh can portal in and out, so they can maybe dodge that Poison Nova. Zul will have to be on point with that R button and making sure to get that damage in.
Good forcing of that Mighty Gust, though, to make sure that they can just kind of back off, get themselves their camps down towards the bot lane. So stable on both sides at the moment. Obviously, Team Expert really doesn't want to be taking a fight anytime soon with the fact that not only Mighty Gust is down, but Leyline Seal as well.
Something to think about with that Leyline Seal that you just mentioned, level 20. Leyline Seal on multiple members into Lamb to the Slaughterhouse.
Yes.
Massive silence, massive destruction available for Expert if they get to 20 safely here.
You can time it out so easily as well, because you see the Leyline Seal just ticking down. So that could be definitely a thing.
And then you get the cleave for Butcher 2, and you just have massive damage occurring. We'll see if that will occur here for our teams. Misfits and Expert continue to go back and forth. Misfits slightly ahead in experience, but Expert is just hanging in there. Blumby on the side, forced to retreat from the Butcher showing up.
Now I'm wondering if Gargantuan will be enough to dish out some damage towards the Butcher when he goes in deep to try and slow him down a little bit, because, I mean, even just the smash that Gargantuan can do from a Nazebo is quite impactful.
It is. It's also a good target, though, for the Butcher to heal off of. Granted, you want to use it against opposing heroes because you get more heal, but if you get in a sticky situation, dropping the cleave on the Gargantuan can give you enough heal to survive while you wait for your Medivh to help up for the assist. But still, a good zoning tool. Big taunt here on Bad Benny, and Nurek low on health. Silence here as well.
Oh! How is this? No!
Oh my gosh, unfortunate. Yes, great shot there by Darkmok, but still, multiple heroics used there to secure that takedown.
Yeah. Worth it, though, overall. Worth it. Because now they're able to establish themselves on the map so much stronger.
Yep.
They can go in here. You can, even the vision. Oh, God, that was so good what Nazebo Hasuobs just did. He was zombie walled and threw spiders over to get the well whilst they were capturing that camp. So it really stunts a little bit of the positioning from Expert towards the middle lane because they just can't use the well. Really nice.
Small pickups really working out here for Misfits as the Shrine phase will begin soon for our teams. They are fighting over the bottom in the top Shrine. Zul continues their pushes here, but I just can't believe how Expert is holding in so well at the moment compared to the wave clear that's pushing here for the Misfits. Nerox constantly moving in that middle.
Yeah.
Big engage setup here, but Bad Benny does not bite on Nerox.
So we have Savage Charge coming in, level 13, which is going to do 10% of their opponent's damage when the charge actually lands from the Butcher. And also Tidal Waves, a bit of a more uncommon talent at level 13 for our Regars, but very, very useful, very strong. Just kind of get more healing, reducing the cooldown of that Tidal Wave the more targets it hits.
Yeah, gives him the ability to keep his teammates alive, and that kind of also works with the Force of Will. You have that small band-aid of, like, you don't have your Force of Will available to you, so he can keep up with the heals, constantly keeping his teammates alive. So yes, a great pickup, especially with that Feral Heart. You'll have enough mana to keep it there. So Rhaegar will be playing more of a reserved play style here.
All right, you see that glowing weapon on the Butcher? It's go time for the Butcher. He has completed his quest, Trick.
At 10 minutes. Wow.
Yeah.
Impressively done there by Blade. Blade now will be able to have auto attack damage and more attack speed from finishing that quest. He will be a menace in fights.
That was quick. Because, again, only one death went down upon him at that top lane, or wherever he was. I think he was in mid lane when he died. But an aggressive move now from Team Expert, looking to seize some of the momentum from this game. Straight on towards this camp, trying to steal it away. Blumby's going to try and taunt the Butcher there for the moment, and he's going to have to back off. That poison is doing a lot of damage there. Ancestral healing on towards Blade. Keeps him alive. They have to back off.
You have to back away because the Molten Core has been popped up. Also, something to note, too, is that a taunt, you have to think twice about that if you're Blumby against a Butcher. With that massive damage coming your way, you got to make sure you have a parry available before you go with that taunt. So definitely another thing that Blumby will have to consider when he's into these fights. Pushing the bottom here. Misfits is taking a slightly inexperienced. They have the top and middle lane pushing.
That's a really good point you bring up. You kind of forget that, don't you? You just think to yourself, well, taunt, you know, it's just going to lock someone in place and they're going to stand there for a while, but you're right on the money. Taunting Butcher is scary.
Yeah, and especially he's able to get off his W, the mark, before he actually moves in. Suddenly, he's actually healing off of you, and you have to kind of walk away from the fight. Here we go, though. Blumby goes for an engage on Bad Benny. Bad Benny will be cleansed immediately here. The spell shield kicking in as Dark Market tries to apply some damage, and Butcher has already made a move to head to the top lane here. Experts maneuvers there has actually lost him about half a level of experience here.
Dragon Knight.
They're getting it back, but the Dragon Knight immediately goes over to the Misfits, so good pickup for them.
Yes, so all they have to do is just keep playing solid Misfits, keep playing their game. Don't really give in to the shenanigans of Butcher Medivh. And that's going to be a Sulfura Smash on towards Medivh. Is he going to die off? I don't think he's finished Master's Touch just yet. Oh, and he gets away. He's 75% on the way with Master's Touch, so it's very important he keeps himself alive.
Yeah, that was a massive escape there, and almost a wasted potential there from the Misfits. Could maybe engage a little bit harder. Still, though, they grab forts. They have the fort in the middle. The bottom fort is being sieged upon. There's not really a big stop here available for Expert. They're going to have to deal with the loss of the fort. Ragnaros in the backside here as well. Top right, looking for a possible engage. If possible, is engaged on too heavily. Ballston needs to get 16. And he's working on it in the middle lane, maybe start rotating toward the top here. And meanwhile, Expert needs to play safe here while they wait for that level to come into fruition.
Yeah, they just cannot go right now. They need level 16. Reabsorption is going to be so strong on anybody that comes down. And also trying to save people from Sulfura Smash, etc. As that just comes off cooldown now. So Misfits, likewise playing it slowly. We're just back on out.
And Nubrak becomes much more tankier now. Nice wall there to stop them from portaling in.
Go through, I dare you.
Ooh, is Nick gonna make a play here? Okay, gets a hammering on the side. Blood for blood for a Nubrak, which makes him a little bit more scary against Varian. He gets a little bit more tanky, but he also gets damage there to help out with that Varian.
Enraged at 16 for the Butcher. It's the normal go-to, of course. So once he is below 50% health, he's actually going to be attacking very fast, and he gains even more survivability. So you think about the survivability he's getting from level 7 with that 50% ability armor, and then the 25% armor on top of that when he's below 50%. This is a hard Butcher to kill.
Yeah.
If he gets on his mark, he will shred things.
Sulfura Smash will only do, what, 25% of the damage to him at that point?
Yeah, not
which
much.
is barely anything. Portal over the Nazebo wall. There's going to be an Impale on Darkmok in the back left. Bad Benny in the front. Sulfura Smash comes out, does connect with Nick. Nick is able to escape low on health, though.
They show the potency of that. And you can see that they are focusing on components that I would agree with Misfits are a little bit weaker. Things like a solo Anubarak at the front line. Yes, of course, he has Blood for Blood and things like that. And yes, he has a Medivh behind him. But if you bring down that Anubarak, it's very difficult for Team Expert to actually continue taking that fight.
The point you bring up there is actually one that many could learn from. The Butcher, while the main focus in the fight, if you're able to take out their side lines, their extra assistant, the support, which is the Falstad or the Nubrak, Butcher can't dive in. Because then it becomes a 5v4, and he can peel back and not have to worry about applying the damage.
Yeah, you say that, but the only thing I want in this game is for Butcher to go absolutely ham.
Oh yeah, I'm ready
no
for
pun
it.
intended, and then just like actually just kill everything. That would be the greatest moment in HGC history.
I don't think we retire after that. We're done casting.
Done, bye.
We've seen it all. Blumby here is under half HP. The portal onto him to catch him out of position. Blade here on the right side. Lambda Slaughter is finally here. There is no Mighty Gust. Here goes Sulfura Smash on top of Nick, but Blade will secure the takedown, and Nick does escape.
It's a good kill. It is a good kill. Molten Core is being used there to try and push them away, but they don't care. They get Zul in mid lane. Oh, Team Expert. Oh, that's fire.
That is definitely fire there. And the pickup's starting to work out for them because they're finally getting those isolations. Blumby, for half a second, was out of position as he was setting up for a flank, and they caught it with the portal in, Blade finishing it off, and then with the Molten Core being on the bottom lane, they all just rotate the mid lane, use Ancestor Healing, and then jump on top of Zul, because that is a 5v3 if you get out of range of the Ragnaros. So good engage there from Expert, and now they're taking a lead. burning down Darkmaw. Force of Will comes out, but there's a big swing, and Rhaegar is taken out.
The zombie wall by Hasselhoff was just perfect, absolutely on the money there, as we're going to see any attempts. They can't take this fight. They just have to go and secure Dragon Knight. Just get the Butcher on that Dragon Knight.
There it is.
And then, yeah, so this is a good position now for Team Expert. They are a little bit behind in terms of experience, of course, but at least they can try and bag some towers here or there or try and clean stuff up. As you can see, he's been a little bit apprehensive because he doesn't really have the full support of his team, so he's just going to look for experience.
Yeah, play safe here, get the experience, and the best win here is that you've taken away the Dragon from the opposing team. 19 to 20 here. Expert going to buy their time.
And this is a good lesson, actually, sorry, for everybody out there. Dragon Knight doesn't have to be hitting buildings all the time. Like, you have to be strategical, even with the Dragon Knight. A team like Misfits will burn this down fast, and then Butcher is isolated, then he'll die. So he has to wait for his team to actually make something happen here.
Yeah, you have a full minute. Buy your time here, especially when you're behind. Get that experience going your way. Middle experience actually grabbed here by the Dragon by itself. Boss is in the top lane, and they've earned, what, half a level of experience just by playing patient?
Yep.
That is definitely a reward that you definitely want to go for when you get the chance.
And even something as like, okay, we're going to take Dragon Knight, we're not going to do much with it, at least it takes it out of the hands of your opponents as well for a good few minutes whilst you're trying to buy time for that 20.
20, so close here for Expert. Misfits makes a maneuver on the bottom lane due to Falstad being in the top. They're rotating onto the keep wall that is already down. They get some poke here on the keep. Also grabbing some mercenary camps as they'll be spawning right after the Dragon does conclude. Dragon concludes. There's the Giant. Bad Benny, though, sniffs it out.
Yep. With ADRD just kind of...
Land the Slaughterhouse, by the way.
As well. Oh my god.
And Medivh cheats. The combo is scary here. If Misfits ever groups up and ADRD catches them,
Slaughterhouse. With a proper team behind it. This is exciting. Blumby not going to take any damage. They were hoping to hit more with that Leyline Seal and the Medivh cheats, as you mentioned, but Slaughterhouse being available. So the disadvantage to Slaughterhouse is that you don't get to have your Nexus Blades, which is insane on Butcher, but you're looking for the absolute big play with Slaughterhouse to capture 5 or, fewer, of course, in that Lamb to the Slaughter.
Yeah, now you have the option here where there's only one cleanse on Malfurion. If you catch 3 members and one person gets cleansed and then you might have got them away, you still have 2 to take out.
Yes, they'll get ripped apart.
Yes, they will get shredded by that massive melee weapon that Blade has in his hands here. Big push here from Misfits in the bottom left, just sieging on the keep, getting it down to half health, setting up for a kill later on in the game. Oh gosh, Nick's going for it. Big boost here. And there's a portal out as well. We have the Poison Nova going at the same time. Where is the Slaughterhouse? It went out, connecting with one there, but the Butcher now charging in. Blumby low in health. Ancestor healing here as well.
They're going to have to back off. Blumby is so low here, and if he dies, there's going to be a lot gone. But that being said, here comes Molten Core. They need to back away. They can't stay there. They do not want to get Molten Swing. They will go through the portal. The Slaughterhouse actually came out in a really odd spot. It didn't hit anybody down towards the bottom after the Gust came out. But if they'd have hit anybody, that fight could have been a whole lot different.
They got the keep anyways, but still, the onslaught straight on the Blumbies, being focused down here. Nurok on the side here, helping with the cleaves. The portal to get out. Can Blade get it? He does walk away. Nick here on the bottom left as well. The Leyline Seal is not available anymore. The Butcher just charged away using the minions. Can Blade escape? No, the Bone Spear comes out for the final kill, and the Butcher has fallen.
Yeah, and that really kind of spells doom here for Expert if they can't just back off and regroup. A lot of their fight potential now has gone, so they have to just bide their time, wait, defend, and hope that Misfits isn't looking for more damage, which they are doing currently. There's the Gust coming out from Nick.
Good dodge there. Self-Fear Smash being at the same time, too. Engagement's up again in 2 seconds. Medivh just being annoying. They were trying to hold Misfits there a tad bit longer, give time for the Butcher to respawn. But you saw every time that Misfits did make a counter attack, they would just pull away, not really wanting that fight.
Yeah, Slaughterhouse is the big playmaker. That's what we're going to have to see really paying dividends here for Team Expert. Talking about the other level 20s, of course. Actually, Hasselhoff hasn't finished Vial Infection just yet. He's very close to doing so, so that will finish up in a second. And Glory to the Alliance is on the way now for Blumby. So technically, all of his allies are getting a lot of healing from Malfurion in that moment. But now with Vial Infection finished, imagine if it had finished in that previous fight. They could have done a whole lot more with that now that I think about it.
Yeah. They really could, especially with them being on top of the Rhaegar there. The back line could have been very devastating. You could just take out the squishies, which puts more stress on the Rhaegar and then the Force of Wills from Medivh. If you get that stress going, which opens up the opportunities for the Ragnaros to be more effective.
All right.
Giant down here on the bottom right. Teams are fighting over it.
Misfits needs to make sure that they do not group up. And if they do, well, ADRD is always looking for that ley line seal.
They aren't, too. Every time they go for a mercenary camp, they apply Blumby there, and they always put Dark Monk on the top of it around a wall, and they always have a concave, which is one of the best ways for setting up for these AoE effect combos.
Absolutely.
Cannot misstep a pinky toe out of range.
All right, they're still well spread here. Hasuov's up towards the top, still kind of that concave with Splendor at the back, looking for a charge and a taunt on towards Bad Benny.
Hardened shields here. Okay, Lemon Slaughter to the Mighty Gus. He catches two of them. Nurox on the back right, getting focused down. Blumby is on the back right as well. We're going to have a new Bad Benny in trouble. Butcher, though, on the bottom left. Ancestor Healing comes out. Ragnaros is being jumped here, but it's not enough.
Splendor just hit a massive Twilight Dream on the left-hand side. It extended forwards, knowing the Butcher has had his work cut out for him down towards the bottom. He knew he was safe. He hit a big Twilight Dream on the left-hand side, and that was an absolute game changer. It's such a shame they didn't have damage to follow up that Lamb to the Slaughter, because if they had on the two targets, it would have been absolutely huge, but nobody was in range to capitalize on it.
Yeah. The Butcher had to run on the bottom right. He was on top of Ragnaros the entire time. That would have been damage. Big taunt, though, on the Nick. Nick low on health already, and he has just bursted down. Bad Benny attempting to hold here, but this looks like it's going to be game here for Misfits as they start beating on top of the core. For 23 seconds, we don't even have a Rhaegar on the field. GG, Misfits taking game number 1 against Expert and their Butcher comp.
That was an exciting game. That was. We only really got to see Butcher in 2 big proper fights, but he certainly turned a lot of the attention of Misfits away to that certain point. But Misfits, they're always thinking about everything. So that towards the end, where Splendor actually just walked forwards and casually Twilight Dreamed 3 of them, when he'd taken no damage.
Yeah.
It was perfect play by Misfits. Perfect response.
Perfect play from them, making sure to capitalize on no lockdown being fully there for the team. And so GG, Misfits going up 1-0 in the series. We'll get ready for game number 2. We'll be right back.